All right, it looks like we are good to go. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. It with the just the breaker debates. It's me and Ken, and we are once again on the scene. In this video, we're definitely going to talk about something that's just near and dear to both our hearts, and that is what
Dun,
comic
dun,
book
dun,
movies.
dun, 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 dun. How about the Marvel and DC cinematic universe's future of movies? It's a low budget show. People work with me. Oh my god! This first hour, we're gonna run down the next few releases of the Marvel, what they call Phase 3. They have actually a Phase 4 coming a couple years from now. But Phase 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movie releases, some we've already actually seen, or at least one of them's come out. And we have a plethora of more movies to look forward to all the way until, man, where'd they go to? May 3rd, 2019, if that gives you any idea. So, there'll be a lot of movies. And we'll talk about kind of what we expect out of the movies and kind of which ones we're expecting to see and what are our thoughts about it. We'll run it off this first hour. So,
all right, I want to ask you about something too. When we talk about the feature films, are we going to include the TV shows?
All I have right in front of me right now, I know there's a bunch of stuff coming on the TV, but I think we can focus on the movies and do a TV show one.
Okay.
Next week.
Okay, fine.
There is a ton of movies. I mean, there's just between the two. I mean, we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 major movie releases over the next 2 years, just for Marvel. And DC, we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 movies for DC. DC's trying to play major catch up, but we'll tap on those next hour, though. Because there's a lot of stuff. Whew, man, that jambalaya was spicy. My nose is running. That means it's good, right?
Yeah.
Oh. Good. Woo! Well, our first movie we've already seen. I haven't seen it yet, which is sad, but I will be watching it in the very, very near future. Phase 3 was Doctor Strange. Came out in November of 2016.
Great movie.
We get introduced, I know, to one of the Infinity Stones in that movie, which is also building towards our latter movies of this Phase 3 release that are coming up. But, I've read Doctor Strange off and on. He's actually even tied to Victor Von Doom, which is another one of my favorite characters in the bad guy department.
I didn't even know that.
Yes. Most people don't know that unless you've read a lot of the, if you read some of the earlier Doctor Strange and earlier Von Doom stories, they kind of did a crossover in there. But yeah, Von Doom kind of went to the same college at our school, mystical school, that Doctor Strange did.
I didn't know that.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, all this cool stuff. I just ran across a couple. I might even still have the comics too. I got a large collection of comics sitting up in the storage area right now. But yeah, they actually kind of tie together. They end up seeing the ancient one. Each had their own purposes. But it's a very interesting storyline. I won't spoil it for you, and sadly, I haven't seen Doctor Strange, but I expect it's good. Benedict Sherlock Cumberbatch. Yeah, I like him, and I think he fit the bill very well. I think he kind of like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and I don't think there will ever be anybody to match that because he fit the bill perfectly. Even in his real life, he was a Robert Downey Jr. So, yeah, he was definitely the same character. But we learned a little more about the mystical world with Doctor Strange and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We always had the space, we have Earth, we have Asgardian realms, but it's all tied together in that mystical world. They say you protect the people, we protect the mystical side. If you saw the trailers and teasers for it. So, sadly, I hadn't seen it yet. I will be seeing it, but that was the first of the cinematic universe, which has been released, and we could talk about it. But we're looking what hasn't happened yet, which the next one coming up I'm very excited about seeing. It's going to be Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, that comes out in May?
Comes out May 2017, so that's coming up pretty fast. Which we'll see all our returning characters: Peter Quill, Gamora, Jax the Destroyer, Groot, Rocket, and they bring back a couple other characters from the first movie as well. And it should be Yondu and Nebula, which were kind of a pseudo good guy, bad guy. I like Yondu and his little arrow. That thing was pretty cool. Nebula was Gamora's basically sister in essence under Thanos, which is our chief big bad guy. That's going to be a reoccurring theme in the next 4 or 5 movies, you know, building up to the Infinity Wars. So we also going to meet. What was that?
I was going to say, I really do hope Nebula has a bigger role in this movie.
I think she's going to, from what I've been reading and looking at. We also bring in another character that has, well, 2 characters that hasn't been in the series yet, which is going to be Mantis. And she is kind of like a empathic bug, I guess. You have to read a little bit more on Mantis. She plays, in the comic series, she's a very big part of it, which I never really got into the Guardians of the Galaxy comic very much. And then Kurt Russell comes on board as Star-Lord's father, Ego, the Living Planet.
You said who?
Ego. E-G-O.
I thought you said Russell.
Kurt Russell is playing his dad. Hell yeah.
Oh, that's what's up.
So that's going to be pretty cool. We got a good badass action guy in there. So he's going to be playing his dad. I don't know how they introduce him now. I've seen the Marvel series on Disney XD, I think. And they've already introduced his dad in human form on that series. So, you know, it's kind of wishy-washy, iffy. I think, I mean, we're only going to have about 2.5 hours of movie time, so they're going to kind of expedite it a little bit. Yeah. Plus, you know, we're throwing in a very large, I mean, if you've seen the trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, it's going to be pretty wild, and it's going to be a definitely more bigger budget than we had before. And I hope it's along the same lines plus from the first movie. So, and all our cast is returning, so that's a good plus. So it should be very interesting to see what happens with that. Let's see. Who's up the bat next?
What do you think about Thor Ragnarok?
Oh, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead. Let's do one more, and then we'll do Thor Ragnarok. Spider-Man.
I am waiting up. I do want to see that.
That's coming out July 7th. What are you eating?
Mandarin.
Oh, really?
I'm trying to get some to the conversation about eating.
That's fine. I can talk while you chew. I already sucked all mine down. That jambalaya was pretty spicy. I got more waiting for me when we're done. Oh, Homecoming coming up July 7th. This is our new re-envisioned Spider-Man. You saw him play in Captain America: Civil War, which I liked. I liked him because he was more like the comic. He's a real smart ass and talking crap and stuff. He hasn't quite realized his full potential yet.
Yeah, he was very he had a youthful energy to him. So he was
he was in there. He was like, I'm gonna take him out. Oh crap, I screwed up. I liked it. I wasn't too hip on the Garfield guy. I didn't watch any of those movies. I just didn't work with me. Couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to watch them because they just changed so much. I mean, there's some really cool stuff like the Sinister Six being hinted in that movie, but then just throw it all out the window because we're starting with now Homecoming. And it's kind of like, ugh, jeez, come on. But we will see.
You saw the trailer for that Homecoming, right?
Yes, because one of the characters is we're gonna have a very, very cool I'm Batman who's playing the Condor. That's gonna be freaking cool as hell. I can't wait.
I even love the design of it. Like,
yeah, and if you've seen the full, if you go and look and see the full rendering of the suit, because in the trailer you only see like parts of it. Go look at the full suit, and it's pretty wicked. It is definitely pretty wicked. Not what I expected per se. Kind of like when we watched the first reimaging of Spider-Man with the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Oh man, when he came out and you hear that cackling and hackling, I mean, I got goosebumps because I was like, oh man, here he comes. Condor is going to be very interesting in this movie because he's not really playing a good guy. He's not really playing a bad guy per se. So we'll see how that goes, because I'm very interested to see how it all plays out. We're also going to probably see Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. in there. Michael Keaton is playing. I'm sorry, it's the Vulture, not Condor. Duh. Man, I had Condor in my head too. I've had some serious brain damage lately. I got dropped on my head too much as a kid.
Nah, you good, bro. I will give it to you, and I love how the movies are tying in together. Like, you have a Spider-Man movie, but now you see Iron Man is in the trailer.
Yeah, and we saw him in Civil War. You know, we saw the very first beginning of it, and then he's going to come back in again this time. You know, and instead of Spider-Man, you know, Peter Parker coming up with some of his technology, or actually all of his technologies that we've known in the past. You know, the original Spider-Man, you know, he had the sticky walls and the spider senses and enhanced strength, but his web slingers were hand built.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the reimaging of Spider-Man, which was kind of cool. I thought it was kind of a neat twist that his web slingers were organic, like a spider.
Yeah,
which I thought was a very nice
twist. Cool too.
And so that made it very cool, and I really liked that series. And then we went into Holland, and I think his was also mechanically done as well. But they kind of went off in the weird thing with Oscorp and all that stuff, and I just couldn't quite keep up with it. This one, we're having a very young Spider-Man who's just, you know, realizing his abilities. You know, Tony Stark's found out who he is. He's going to help him along the way. So that's a nice tie-in with our Civil War, nice tie-in with our Infinity Wars that's coming up. You know, we got a really cool bad guy, the Vulture, coming on. It's being played by Michael Keaton, of all people, which should be really interesting. So I think it's going to be a very, very good, you know, I will definitely go see this one coming out, and that's July 7th. Excuse me. And Melissa Torme is playing Aunt May, for those who are excited about that. A much younger Aunt May.
I do like the reason. I do like the reimagining of that, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. You know, they're not really killing it, and they're not really, you know, the Spider-Man is a little on par more with the comics. You know, we're adding a little bit more, you know, Avengers team influence, even though Spider-Man really didn't play along with them very well from time to time. So it will be interesting to see what happens in this movie and how they integrate him more into the cinematic universe with the Infinity War and the Civil Wars, because we got that coming up. But Thor Ragnarok.
I'm not never been really a huge Thor fan like that. It's just me, but I can say that, you know, I think the idea behind the Ragnarok, and also the return of the Hulk, is like, it's gonna be bringing it. It's gonna be busting.
Because we watched at the end, was it Age of Ultron? Basically, the Hulk got in a Quinjet, hit autopilot, and just left. He packed his bags basically and just left because he couldn't handle it. He didn't want to be a danger to anybody, and he just didn't know what to do. And so we kind of find out in Ragnarok what actually happened to him. And you have to do a lot of reading back on Ragnarok too, because Ragnarok in their in Asgardian lore and stuff is basically the end of their civilization. And so we have a lot of characters playing in there. We know Hulk's on board. Chris Hemsworth comes back as the Hulk.
I think isn't Doctor Strange going to be in it too?
There is rumor that Doctor Strange will make an appearance. I'm not exactly sure how, per se. I think it's going to be against. Well, we got a lot of other people. We got Kate Blanchett coming on. We got Jeff Goldblum. Carl Urban's going to be in there, which is cool. I love Carl Urban.
Yeah, Carl Urban. Who is he playing?
Hang on, I'll find out.
Because Carl Urban is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I love him as freaking Bones in Star Trek. I mean, he is funny. He cracks me up.
Did you see him in Dredd?
Yeah, I liked him in Dredd.
Yeah, he owned it.
He is playing a character called Scourge.
That sounds familiar. I think I should know who that is, but I can't really think off the top of my head.
I wonder if he's an animated character. He is going to be a bad guy. Let's look up Scourge. Let's see what Scourge looks like. This will be interesting. He's going to be... what is he playing? What is Scourge's deal here? Oh, he's a big dude. He works with Enchantress. Or in this case, what would be... Yeah.
That's not the executioner guy, is it, right?
He looks like it. He's got a big old axe, and he looks like a badass.
Yeah.
Serves Helena, who's going to be playing Kate Blanchett. So he's basically Helena's bodyguard.
Okay.
So he's going to be a very big... Well, this character is huge, comparatively speaking, but Carl Urban should probably pull it off, because I'm looking at the other characters, and I think he'll pull it off fairly well. He's just a big, bloodthirsty bodyguard, basically. And we've seen him in several other movies where he's played pretty much Judge Dredd being a good example. Mm-hmm. Flair. It was great. But that should be interesting, because we're going to see also characters coming in that we've seen mentioned in other series, like the Game Master is going to be showing up, which I think is actually the guy who controls where they end up in the tournament series, the arena.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big, kind of like Gladiator, but it's pretty much the universe's biggest, baddest, meanest places to show up, and they fight to the death, basically.
What is like War World or something like that?
Yeah, they called it War World, but in essence, basically gladiatorial games that they're going to be pitting against more powerful characters and stuff. So it's going to be a very large setup to get in there, and then it brings us into our story of this year for Thor Ragnarok.
I wanted to ask you something too.
Sure.
Should they use this? Should they use this as an opportunity to introduce new characters?
Well, each of these movies is bringing other people on board, because we're going to see, Spider-Man. We bring in a new bad guy, but we also bring in a new Spider-Man. We'll learn a lot more about. Thor is going to bring us probably another cameo, or at least a little bit of Doctor Strange, which we've already seen the movie released. We're going to see Return of Loki, but we're going to bring in the Game Master, which is a character that has been in the series in Marvel for a while. In fact, actually, the Spider-Man series that's on right now, basically the Game Master pulled everybody in, and where the city where Spider-Man was, and just took them all, and he plays games, pitting heroes against villains, and so this character will carry on. I'm sure we're going to see this character carry on in probably Civil War and maybe the Infinity. It'd be hard to say at this point in time, because there's so much to that character. And they could add extra characters. I mean, we can even bring on extra characters, extra heroes in this case, that we'll be building. Because, Infinity War is going to be massive. There is going to be so many. It's literally part 1 and part 2. But there's going to be so many characters that we've already seen, and some we have not seen. We're going to have crossovers of Guardian of the Galaxy are going to be in there. Of course, we're going to see like Doctor Strange and many of the others that we've just seen briefly. They're going to be playing, good roles in here. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to see in Infinity War. And if they want to throw a few extras here and there, I'm sure we'll probably see some characters carry on for Ragnarok. We'll see some characters carry on for Black Panther, which is going to be the next release after Ragnarok, which is one I'm going to be kind of excited about.
I'm worried about the Infinity War. But the only reason I'm not like overly worried about it, overly concerned about it, is because of how they've been presenting some of the movies. Like you said, Avengers Infinity War is going to be massive. There are going to be so many characters, and it's like, how can you make? They did a great job in the Avengers and the Avengers Age of Ultron and in the Captain America Civil War of making all of the characters relevant.
But you're only dealing with like 6-7 characters or so, major characters, and a few supporting characters. When you go into Infinity War, we're talking a lot of people. And granted, now all these individual movies, we're on phase 3. Mm-hmm. Phase 1 was your Captain America, the Avengers, Phase 2 brought in the Winter Soldier and more stuff going on with Hydra and all that stuff. A lot of the backstory there. And now we're in Phase 3, which we brought in Doctor Strange. We're bringing the Black Panther. We're bringing, the end of Asgard, basically, with Thor Ragnarok. We're going to have Panther being a more prominent character now, which is the next movie coming up on our list. Other characters, we've briefly seen Ant-Man and introduction of the Wasp are coming. Captain Marvel, one of the more powerful characters in the MCU, basically, or even in Marvel Comics, just like number 2 or 3, I think.
Yeah.
So, you've got a lot of characters that have their own individual movies before even being teamed up with anybody that are coming out. So, yes, I expect we're going to see probably some surprise cameos that aren't really being mentioned right now, which would be cool. We're going to see a lot of things happen with Asgard. We're going to see a lot of things, I think, happen with the mystical world, where Doctor Strange kind of falls into play. So there's going to be a lot of stuff coming that a lot of things are going to be thrown at you, but they're all, as Marvel's been doing, they're building and building and building. We're talking the last 4 years. No, it's been at least 5 years.
But it's been 8 years. Because I think Iron Man was the first one.
Well, you had Iron Man, they threw Iron Man out there, and we had Iron Man 2. We had a lot, just 2 focal points for just a little bit of time, and then we started assembling the Avengers team.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of single movies, and then they kind of started combining, and then the combined movies even combined more, which gave us Civil War. So, we're seeing a lot of that grouping. And the TV series we're also doing that too, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter. We're tying in some of those, even way back when we were seeing, hints of the Marvel Cinematic Universe coming to life. So,
I think that's like I said, I think that's what my major concern is, because it's like, okay, we already know that not Ant-Man. I'm looking at the thing in the Avengers Infinity War film. Okay, Thanos is going to be more prominent. But how is this going to play out? Is it going to be a big battle? Is this going to be a solo plot that's going to unravel? Because we know we're going to have tons of action, tons of characters, but the whole film can't be like. Do you think they can pull it off as like an actual? Like, have you ever seen The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies?
Yes.
Do you think they can pull an Avengers like that? Like the entire movie is like one big fight.
I think it's going to be very. Well, first of all, Thanos has to get the Infinity Stones.
Yeah, and
we already know at the end of the last Thor, we know that Thanos got the gauntlet, and he got the gauntlet from Asgard, because that's where it was being stored. We know that currently, right now, all but one stone has been accounted for. There's one more still left.
Okay, we got the one in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, we had the purple stone in Guardians. We had the Aether in Thor. We had the Cosmic Cube in Captain America.
And that became Vision.
Well, no. The scepter from that movie housed the Knowledge Stone, which is now in the Vision.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so
then
the cube and that are 2 different ones.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Now the cube is on Asgard. The Vision has one in his head.
And then Doctor Strange is the last.
Doctor Strange has one locked away on Earth. The Aether. What did he do with the Aether? The Aether is with
the Collector?
No, the Collector has the Aether. He also the Power Stone is being held on by the Star Corps on their planet, locked up. There's still one more stone. I don't think all the stones have been revealed yet.
Do you think there's a possibility that it might be in like either the Captain Marvel movie or perhaps the Black Panther?
I think we're going to see it in probably Black Panther. I think I want to say I would expect in Thor Ragnarok that part of the Asgardian downfall with that whole thing is going to be Thanos is going to get his hands on the cosmic cube and two of the 6 stones. I think he's going to get, because the whole place collapses. I mean, Ragnarok is the end of Asgard, pretty much, if I remember correctly. So, there's going to be a huge, huge, monstrous, epic battle that's going to happen. And I have a feeling that's where he's going to get his first 2 stones.
Okay.
I'm going to guess. I mean, I'm just kind of throwing it out there, and it will probably be something very brief. It's not going to be the main focus of the movie. It's just, the big focus is going to be the Hulk and Thor and everything that goes on there. But I think we're going to see, Thanos has already gotten the Infinity Gauntlet. I think he's going to get 2 more stones, pretty quickly right there. And I think the last one should be revealed in the movie, but let me double check on that, because I'm pretty sure I think all the Infinity Stones but one have been accounted for. Thanks to the internet.
I'm really interested to see how they're going to do this with the Thanos. Because I honestly don't know. I don't really know too much about Thanos. But I want to see what he can do. I want to see what he can do. Like
he is pretty powerful.
Like how is the fight going to go?
Let's just say that the Hulk won't stand a chance against him. It's pretty tough.
Okay.
He is very powerful. He's very dangerous. He's very smart. So just with that alone, he's been pretty powerful. And he's driven, very driven. He's trying to win the hand of Lady Death. That's what drives him. And
okay.
And she'll probably make an appearance in Infinity War as well. Who are we missing? Let's see. That's Aether. Vision. He's got the Mind Stone. And Doctor Strange has the Eye of Agamotto, which is the green one.
Yeah.
So who's left?
There's the red, there's the purple, there's the yellow, there's the blue, and there's the green.
Okay, here we go. All right, this is what I was looking for. The Space Stone is the Terrasact, which currently right now is on Asgard in the vault.
Okay.
So we got that one. So the Asgardians have that one. The Mind Stone was in the Scepter, but now is in Vision's head. So that was the Mind Stone. That's knowledge. Reality Stone is the red one, which currently right now is in the Collector's Museum.
Yeah, okay.
So we got that one. The Power Stone, which is the purple one, which is inside the Nova Corps vaults. The Time Stone is in the Eye of Agamotto, which is with Doctor Strange on Earth. So they have revealed all the stones.
Okay.
That was the last of the stones. So we have one on Earth, one on Asgard, one in the middle of nowhere, one on the Xander, the Nova Corps headquarters, the Collector, the Vision. So there's 2 on Earth currently right now. And the Gauntlet is in his possession as of the last Thor movie.
Okay.
So it should be very interesting.
I would like to also know, what would you think about the Black Panther movie?
Well, that is our next movie that we can yap about, because I really never got into the Black Panther as a comic book reader, and I really did not have an idea of actually how cool a character he really is, because basically the whole backstory between the Black Panther is that they have a basically kind of like one of the most secretive and highly technological advanced civilizations on Earth is their city called Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically control the vibranium, which is basically what makes adamantium, like Wolverine's claws and his bone structure. Vibranium, which is its native form, which is what Captain America's shield's made of. That's what reflects all that energy. And if you remember in Civil War, when we first introduced the Panther, he's also got a little bit of mystical enhancement, not also technology, but there's actually a mystical element to it as well, which I think is going to be part of the, play we're going to see in Infinity War. but they're very smart, very technologically advanced. He is basically the smartest man on Earth next to Tony Stark. They're actually that smart. I mean, super smart. So it's very interesting, and we're going to see that world and that history, which is great because, I mean, I've done a lot of reading since, you know, the conception of the Black Panther even coming out in the movies to go, what is the Black Panther? What's the story behind the Black Panther? You know, what do I need to learn and know so to expect what's coming in the movies? You know, who is this guy? How bad is he really, or is he good, or what's the deal? But basically, Wakanda has basically stayed out of the world. They protect their borders. They have super good technology. I mean, it's very, very cool. And you saw at the end with the Winter Soldier, you know, they basically cryogenically refroze him, trying to, you know, unbrainwash him from being that soldier. So I expect to see a very interesting movie with the Black Panther. It's a character that most people don't know, but I think they'll be like, oh man, that's pretty cool once they get introduced to the character.
Okay. I want to know who the bad guy would be for like, who would the villain be for Black Panther?
They kind of mentioned that. Hang on. And it's probably not a lot of people that we know already because the Black Panther hasn't really been an established character in you know, our realm of the Marvel universe. We've only just briefly seen a tinkling of the character. I
know a man.
Where is it at?
I would love to see it.
Killmonger is his name. Eric Killmonger, or Killmonger. He was one of the original members there and was thrown out. And he wants his rifle placed back in there, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to get back in there. And he's a pretty good baddie.
And Michael B. Jordan is playing him too. Michael B. Jordan is a great actor.
I think the guy who's playing Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman,
yeah,
he's been in a lot of stuff too. I just didn't know who he was, but he's played in a lot of stuff where he's done pretty well as well. So there's a lot of stuff.
I definitely want to see this dynamic between these two characters.
Yeah, somebody who's protecting it as the head of the nation, and also, you know, the defender, you know, in secret or whatever. I'm sure the people there know who he is. You know, he's a Black Panther. You know, he's chosen to take the role. So it should be interesting. I'm very interested to see everything that goes on with Black Panther and how much they introduce to the world of Wakanda and everything that's been going on. Because, like I say, they control one of the major components that are used throughout the Marvel universe, which is antimonium/vibranium. You know, it's so rare. You know, it's all from that meteor that hit. You know, we saw them. You know, even not the Deadpool movie, but the Wolverine, where they introduced Deadpool. You know, they were. You know, that's why they were there. That's why a special team went in and killed all them people, is trying to get where the source of the vibranium was, so they can do their top secret projects. That's where you got Wolverine, Weapon X, you know, antimonium from, and Deathstrike, and Wade Wilson's, you know, at that crap ass movie they made with him, where he had all the Wolverine enhancements and stuff, which is bull crap. Should have never even done that. They just ruined that movie, but
they did a terrible job.
They destroyed it. I mean, I couldn't live with that. That was just awful. But Deadpool made up for it, but I really don't like the other movie as much. But that's coming out in November 2017. Oh, sorry, let me rephrase that. Well, they had November 3rd, 2017, but the date's been changed to February 16th, 2018.
Yeah.
So a little bit of ways, gives a lot of time to build it up. And then May 4th, 2018, part 1 of the Infinity War. And that's where all kind of stuff goes crazy.
I do want to see how much of an impact he's going to make as a character, because I don't know too much about Thanos. But I hope
he is definitely a driven character, and if you read the Infinity War comic series, if you read some of the stuff about Thanos and his driving force, that will kind of help you understand some of the Infinity War. I just don't know how close they're going to do it to it for the Infinity War, but it's going to be a very large, down and out, knockdown, drag out fight. Now, right, it could be wrong. I mean, it could be like this movie's where he's kind of sneaking around and causing trouble to get his hands on the Infinity Stones, and then in part 2 is where it all goes down. Could be a possibility. I don't know. There's not a lot out on it.
Yeah.
Currently, right now, so it's like because right after that, I mean, we're talking, was it May, June, July? They're gonna come out with Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I'm thinking maybe part 1 is going to be the build. I think Thanos is going to use his cunning and his ability and his some of his ability power to get his hands on the stones. And by the end of the movie, he'll probably have all of them.
Yeah.
And then it'll end with that. He'll get them, and then we'll see 2 years later, we'll see Infinity War Part 2, and it's going to be a knockdown, drag out, all out war.
Okay.
I think that if I were doing that, I think that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because that would definitely hook you to come back and see part 2.
Yeah, I can see that.
And we bring Thanos into the play. We bring him more into character. We bring him more into the light of seeing what's going on and his motivations. That would be a good time to show, his thing for Lady Death. There's gonna be a lot of things tied into that, and they can build all that up in Infinity War 1. And then put the kapow in episode 2 or Infinity War 2.
And it's good because and it kind of feeds into my concerns, but one of the best things about it is you will see the Guardians of the Galaxy team up with the Avengers.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of team ups. We're gonna see. We definitely know for sure. Guardians is going to be joining that group. For sure, they're already in. Mm-hmm. There's actually even been some of the filming has already started for it, I think, as of last week. So there's a lot of things going on with that. I was trying to see if I could pull up anything more on the Infinity War, see if there's any more updates. But I remember seeing a little trailer here, just kind of teasing everything, that it's coming and all. That's pretty much all you saw. I was trying to see if there was anything else. There is a little bit of update on it. This is as of, what's today, 16th? 2 days ago. There's going to be some stuff about Infinity War updating on, where is this, Cinema Blend?
Yeah.
And I would have to go in there and read it because there's a bunch of articles sitting in here. So
I want to ask you something before we only got like 6-7 minutes left on this episode. But I want to ask you, if you could pick a superhero to have their own movie and be introduced to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and who would you like to see?
From a security?
In fact, I asked you 2 questions. One specific character and then one specific group. Which one would you like to see?
Man, I think most of my favorites have already been brought to the limelight. I would like to actually see a Von Doom movie. A good Von Doom movie. Not tied in with the Fantastic Four per se, but, maybe... Well, you could bring Von Doom... Well, just that storyline I was just talking about earlier, an hour. Von Doom with Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a good, interesting movie where you have 2 obscure characters. I don't say obscure, but there's not a lot out in film on Doom. And there's a lot to his character. And then there's a lot to Doctor Strange in the mystical world. And you could tie those very well in and actually even do that storyline, which would be actually be kind of cool. As for a team, I would like to see the Micronauts.
Micronauts?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got to explain. I don't know no Micronauts.
The Micronauts were a you know how in the Ant-Man where he kept going into the subatomic universes and kept going and going and going?
Yeah.
Well, the Micronauts exist in that universe. There's like multiple universes within a universe, kind of like the infinity theory.
Yeah.
They exist in a micro universe, which is where he was. When he shrinks down real small, he's still in ours. But when he went where you couldn't be seen anymore, he entered their universe. And there's like a whole cool storyline with just them. They have their own, thing going on too. They have a good bad guy. His name is Baron, and he basically is the bad guy. He subjugated all the micro universe. We have a team that's assembled, a husband and wife team. They have 2 droids that work with them that are, keep the ship going. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 other support characters that are each either princes or kings of banished worlds. Kind of basically, I'm trying to, get rid of the bad guy, and all the survivors of all the aftermath have gotten together as a team, and they go after the Baron and trying to end his reign. But along the way, you learn a whole bunch of really cool stuff. It's something worthwhile to read into, and I mean, I could go a lot into it, but we don't have a lot of time. But if you're interested in, and a lot of people were very interested in the series, because I mean, I have a whole series of comics from them. Micronauts is the name of the series. It's a Marvel comic, and it's definitely worth your interest if you kind of like very interesting, kind of a weird, twisty storyline. So it's pretty cool, and it all happens in the micro universe. It's not in what we know of.
I was thinking of the question. I said, there's a person I do wish that they could bring into it, but not shoe it in there. And if they do put the character in there, they have to do it right. I would like to see She-Hulk.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
She my girl. She's my girl. I like her.
She has always been a very interesting character and kind of played off on the side, but I've seen her start make a lot of reoccurrence in some of the other comics and stuff that were coming out. And I've seen a lot of it mentioned on some of the comic sites too. I think she's made or getting ready to make an appearance in one of the Marvel animated series.
Yeah.
I think she's getting ready to show up. But yeah, that would be a good one to see. But she's not like the Hulk. She ended up getting he gave her a transfusion to save her life. And since he still had the gamma condition, it transferred to her, but it permanently turned her into a Hulk-like character, but she's still feminine, strong, and she has all her senses. So basically she gets the strength, the form, but not the barbaric monster, uncontrolled rage creature that the Hulk is. Yeah. So yeah, that would be a very cool. That was a good one. I like that.
And I'm maybe it's because I'm a sucker for the originals, but I can't decide which one I would want them to work on more. I do want them to bring out a good X-Men team or a good Fantastic Four. I didn't mind the ones that we've already seen, but they could have done a lot better with their stories, as well as actually fleshing out some of the characters. But
that last one sucked.
I thought you mean the X-Men or
the Fantastic Four?
I liked it, but it wasn't.
That sucked.
I did like it to a certain extent. It was the idea of it. I'm definitely because I liked how if this did happen, it would make sense for the government to be involved.
They are in some of the the name of the facility. I can't think of it. It wasn't the Reed hideout, but it was the what was the name of the facility they were in at the end of the movie?
I can't remember.
That is actually a precursor to AIM, which is going to be a forerunner to making the character Mordock. Oh, that'd be another character to see too.
Yeah.
Mordock would be awesome to see come to life. I don't know why I said that, because AIM is showing its face in other of the Marvel worlds right now.
Yeah.
But I just The origin was different. I mean, I can work with slightly different origins, but I just didn't like the Doom, and I'm a big Doom fan, and I could not function with that. It just
I didn't mind the Doom because
it made my head hurt.
I didn't really mind the Doom, and this is the reason why, because this Doom was like a threat. And even though Doom is a threat and like everything else, but he was like an actual threat in this movie. Like if they didn't stop him,
they souped him up pretty good. But in the regular comics and regular series, without the superchargedness of Another World's green slime, he's pretty badass as is. But they never made him that bad. They could have made him a whole lot more in the ones with Jessica Alba in it. They could have made Doom so much better. That's our sign.
We'll definitely continue the discussion. In fact, next week we'll talk about the Fantastic Four and we'll talk about X-Men in the two shows. But for now, guys, thank you for checking out our MCU future film discussion, and join us for the second half or the second part or our next video.
Part
and we'll
2.
talk about the DC Extended Universe future films.
Dun, dun, dun.
So I think, guys, get ready to pick up where we left off. We'll see y'all in a little bit.